Hello, everyone. This is our last one in the 5 keys for life success. So, I am Shayla L. Bennett. This is 5 Minute Motivation, and I am so excited to be with you again today. As you know, we usually do not air on Saturdays, but today we wanted to finish up this wonderful um, series, and I hope you guys have really enjoyed what we have been discussing because it has really been exciting. And I hope you guys have really enjoyed it as well. I know that I have. And I really have. I know that for me, I think about them before I get started, but even as I am talking, I feel a lot like I guess I would say my mentor does. Um, and I feel like I'm learning as I am teaching. And so that's always kind of a unique experience because you hear yourself, but then you feel like you're hearing yourself. Isn't that a little interesting? So today, I'm going to wrap this one up, and today we're going to talk about how important it is to have guidance for your life, to have a baseline for which you live your life by. So when I think about this one, I think that there are core principles by which you decide to live your life by. There are laws. For example, each country lives its life by. It's the way that they govern. It's the way that they make decisions about what's right and what's wrong. This is the same for your life. There should be an established set of core principles by which you live your life by. And people that have a successful life, they have core principles by which they live their life by. Several years ago, I was fortunate enough to hear an amazing teaching, and they asked a question I really had never been asked about. They asked me about my own core values. And, these are things that I guess I kind of assumed that they were automatic. They were things that I already had in my life. So I never really taken any time to think about them. But they asked me, Shayla, what are your 5 core values? What are the things that no matter what, these are the baseline for every decision that you make? These are the way that you filter your decisions. And I had never really sat down and thought about it, like ever. It had never occurred to me how am I filtering my decisions? If I have a financial decision, if I have an emotional situation, if I have an upheaval in my life, how do I make a decision? I have processes for it, but I didn't necessarily think about how I filtered, what core principles I used to filter my thinking. So let me give you a really good example. Um, for example, I'm a person of excellence. I believe that there is a standard by which I um, do things. I don't believe in doing sloppy, half-hearted work. I just don't. And that translates really to every area of my life. I'm not going to give you something half done. I'm not going to give you things half baked. I think about every aspect of it. Now that doesn't mean that I'm a perfectionist. And that was an adjustment that I've had to make over time in my life. And I had to learn the difference between perfection and excellence. But I am a person of excellence. I want things to be done exceedingly well. And I want to put my best effort first, my best effort forward first. I don't want to say I handed you something and it was half done and I know I could have done better the first time, but I really didn't do it. So those are the kinds of things that for me as a person of excellence, I don't do. Now I realize that everybody's not a person of excellence, so I don't hold them to my standard per se, but once you hand me something, I am going to critique it based on that standard, because now it's in my hands and I have the ability to make adjustments and improve things based on what I know can and should be done. Another example for me would be I am a person that values integrity. I believe that I should have integrity about how I live my life. So I'm not going to be deceptive about how I handle things in business, how I handle things in life. I'm not going to tell you something is of one quality and it's of another quality. I'm not going to tell you something's good if it's bad. I'm not going to tell you something's working if it's broken. So these are things for me that establish my core principles, and they're the foundation for which I live my life. These are things that people who live a successful life have done, and they establish these things, and they don't allow the outside world to determine for them how they're going to make life decisions. They don't allow pressures of life to determine for them how they're going to make the decisions of life. So for you, your challenge is, what are going to be your core values? How are you going to establish what is acceptable and what's unacceptable? What's good and what's bad? When are you going to make certain decisions and when are you not? What are your core values? Generally speaking, I found that you can have a lot of core values. You can have 10, 15, 20 of them. But in general, it's best to have 3 to 5 values. And let me tell you why. I know that I was a part of an organization and they went through an entire restructuring, and they had several core values. But people couldn't remember all the core values that they had. So when you have too many core values, you can't really retain them. They don't stay on the forefront of your mind, and they're not something that you truly hold to, and they're not times that you remember in times of stress or pressure. You want these to be things that you're going to hold to and remember. So, as you're thinking over this nice weekend, your core values, think about 3 to 5 things that are really, really central to your life. What things are so important to you that you would not waver on them, you won't back down for them, you will not change no matter what situations, circumstances, pressures of life come at you, because you've decided that this is the standard by which I live my life. Thank you so much for joining me for this wonderful series. I hope that you have been challenged, but I also hope that you've been motivated to think about not only how you live your life, but how you want to live your life. And anything that you want to make adjustments to, how you want to start the process. Get the ball rolling on how to do that. Thank you so much for joining me for 5-Minute Motivation. I look forward to seeing you guys on Monday. Bye now.